2 years ago, we found out about this crazy lease deal, which you've heard a lot. It would have errors popping up and going away all the time. Maybe you press, from reverse to drive to park too quickly, the car will just kind of lock in place.
This video is brought to you by Ionna and OpenVPP. Ionna, the EV charging network brought to you by the world's leading automakers. Ionna is raising the bar on what it means to charge. We're talking a 400 kilowatt charge rate minimum, nationwide network built with the customer in mind. Fast, reliable, affordable, every single time. And OpenVPP, a global virtual power plant for electric vehicles. See vehicles charging across the world and zoom in to see real-time charging status in what aims to be the world's largest vehicle virtual power plant. OpenVPP allows you to track charging history, energy usage, and daily trips, comparing your usage versus others day to day and month to month. With OpenVPP, we're working together to showcase the potential of EV charging to electric grid operators. There may even be future coordinated EV charging rewards coming soon. So sign up today at world.openvpp.energy. It's completely free to join and takes under 60 seconds.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Out of Spec Reviews. I'm Francie. We're here with the 2023 VinFast VF8 that I have been driving for the past 2 years of a 3-year lease. And of course we have Logan behind the camera. We're in Memphis, Tennessee, and we're going to talk to you a little bit about the VinFast and where she is going next.
I will be taking this about 800 miles back to the track for some testing. Kyle will have to do range tests, charging tests, all of that kind of stuff. But before we do that, let's talk about your experience with the VinFast. The first question I have is, how long have you had it? And kind of tell the viewers, if they haven't, already experienced the VinFast with you, what was the lease deal? How did it happen in the first place? And I know this was your first EV, so tell us all about that.
That's all true. So you might have not heard of VinFast before, or maybe if you've been a viewer of the channel, you have, but it's a Vietnamese automaker that came to the US market, and I think about 2022, if I remember correctly. This is the first model that they had, the VF8. So this is the 2023 Eco trim, the base trim, and in 2 years ago, we found out about this crazy lease deal, which you've heard a lot, maybe a little less frequently lately in the EV world, but it was $250 a month, $0 down for this EV in a couple different colors. We ended up getting the green one, and we said, all right, let's do it. Kyle, Jordan, and I went out to North Carolina where the deal was available. There were a lot of people in the dealership interested in this new electric vehicle. We were one of them. And then now, that was in January, 2 years ago. It's January again, so we've got 1 year left. It's a 30,000 mile lease as well. And yeah, we still got, I think we only have 15,000 miles on it so far, but she has road tripped from North Carolina to Tennessee, Tennessee to Colorado, Colorado to Tennessee, and here and there in between. So it's been a fun one to road trip, but also I use it to commute every day, drive around town. It's definitely the preferred form of travel, even when we have combustion options.
So Francie, how did the VF8 fit into your lifestyle?
Pretty well. Before her, I drove a Subaru Outback 2016. So in terms of all-wheel drive, matched that. My Subaru's green, matched that. But really the space, the comfort, the efficiency of the vehicle were a lot of things that were pretty well matched when it comes to driving around town. Of course, the Subaru is way more efficient on a road trip. That is pretty clear. When Jordan did do the Colorado range test with the VinFast, he got 247 miles, I think, 0 or 100 to 0, 70 miles an hour in Colorado, trying to get the most typical weather conditions and everything. So that's kind of what you're looking at in a road trip. It's not super efficient, but it's not horrible. You just have to be willing to smell the roses. I do love road trips, so that has always changed the road trip experience when you're driving electric, but I don't complain. I love slowing it down. But in terms of getting around town, getting to the grocery, going to hang out with your friends, even smaller road trips, it has really fit my lifestyle pretty well. I can't complain that much, especially with such a great lease deal. And if I consider the perspective of a lot of the people in the world, they don't necessarily need the best road tripper, so I think it would actually fit a lot of people's lifestyle. It's comfortable, it's cute, it's got pretty great features that I enjoy, so I think it fit pretty well.
And then compared to your Subaru or other cars you've been around, a lot of people are critical of like the day-to-day living as far as like software, or early on there were a lot of like suspension complaints and stuff. Do you feel that, or does it feel like a totally normal and usable car day to day?
That's a good question. She was quirky was the number one word we used to describe her when we first got her, and other owners that I also spoke to, because I haven't been on camera in a while, by the way. I used to be on the Out of Spec podcast, hosting a lot of conversations there, which is now Out of Spec Bits for the most part. I also participated in some other videos with Out of Spec, so I've been around, but if you don't recognize me, this is what I've been doing, driving this VinFast for the past 2 years. Your question was, oh yeah, so when I talked to other owners in the beginning, they called theirs glitchy as well. So when it first came out, the software was super glitchy and quirky. It would have errors popping up and going away all the time. It would sense things that weren't there. It wouldn't remember the settings that you put in. It was a little bit quirky and a little bit to get used to. More than just driving a new car, I would say. Typically, you have a pretty easy, flowy experience, pretty intuitive. That has changed over time for sure. With software updates, I've gotten 2. I had to go to the dealers. They were not over-the-air software updates, and that dealership was in Wichita, Kansas, because there weren't any near to me, and that's actually halfway basically between here and Colorado, so those road trips served as my software update times. So it was a bit annoying at first. She still does some things that are annoying, like she beeps really loudly. So they're really all about safety features, which you can't complain, but you kind of can. But now I can really turn them off when I don't want to, silence some things, cater the experience more to me and my profile, my driver's profile. So things have gotten better, but I do think that the critiques in the beginning were totally warranted. But I'm still a fan. It's gotten better. I think they've listened and they've made improvements to where the general person, the everyday person, would enjoy this car.
Do you have like physically any issues with how it drives, like as opposed to the Subaru in terms of like steering, suspension, throttle input, brake?
Well, I do love, of course, there's the difference between the one pedal driving, which I love, and it's great like that, but I do, it porpoises a little bit, which the Subaru doesn't, but generally I think it drives pretty well. It's fun to go fast. You can, I think, I mean, I'm not a car reviewer, but I think it's certainly different, but they both have a lot of power. I can pick up and get to where I'm going, get away from semi trucks on the highway or whatever it is, or have a comfortable ride in general. I think there are some things that could be improved about the design of the VinFast, but I could probably say the same thing about the Subaru.
Yeah, I mean, just on the ride over here, I didn't feel like I had any problems
yeah,
with it.
Yeah, you were in the passenger seat, but...
Yeah, I mean, that was my first experience with a VinFast ever. Of course, Subaru tunes their cars for really soft suspension usually, so they really are comfy. But yeah, I mean, in my experience, it wasn't, so bad that I would complain hard in a YouTube review. So I do know they've made a lot of improvements. And yeah, no, I thought it was totally fine. So moving forward, you had just mentioned OTAs. Tell me about how it's gotten better, because those OTAs you got, probably added some features.
Yeah, they added some, and they actually took some away, which I'll get to, don't let me forget. Improvements were like less quirkiness, as I described, less sensitivity with their sensors and their safety features, better implementation of, okay, this driver would like these settings when she gets in the car. We're going to keep those next time that she turns the car on. Things like that. Things are glitchy with the navigation. I've never enjoyed the navigation. They use Here Maps. I just use they have Apple CarPlay, which is nice. It was a little bit more glitchy in the beginning. So I would say the whole integration of your phone and your experience with the VinFast has gotten better over time. And that happened definitely with the software updates. They had a few physical updates to the car that they did, but nothing super significant when I dropped it off. But the last software update I did took away, there are 3 driving modes on the VinFast: Eco, Normal, and Sport. After I got in, after the second software update, there was no Sport mode anymore, and I was not the only one. Those who had either bought or leased probably not bought, I wonder if it was just leases, the Eco trim like I did, we all got our sports mode taken off without even being told. So I think that was a little bit sketchy, but I also haven't been back to get an update to see if maybe they walked that back and updated it back onto the car.
Yeah, and that's important to mention is that we're not currently on the newest software version. It's about a year old in software right now, which would be a lot easier if we could do this over the air in the driveway
Yeah.
instead of at the dealer.
It would.
But from the research that I've done, there were a few UI improvements and a few like bug fixes, but nothing so significant that it would be something to mention as far as overall experience.
I think so too. I think my general tolerance for the quirkiness has gotten better, but I think also there have been improvements to the software. I'm not totally sure if they aren't doing over-the-air software updates now. I know they were hesitant in the beginning. They wanted to make sure that it would go well if they did that. That's why they made you go to the dealership. But I think I have seen some changes. Like, for instance, this is one of the only EVs with pet mode. And I love that because I have a pet. Or I have groceries in the back seat. Either way, I want to keep the climate going for whatever reason. Now it will detect if your pet or maybe your baby is in the back seat and you've left it in the car, and it'll turn pet mode on, it'll flash the headlights, and that was really cool. I learned that recently, and I hadn't really noticed that since the last update. So I wonder, and I've heard some other VinFast users saying maybe they sneak some over the air software updates in, but I really can't be sure at this point.
And then talking about software one more time, have you experienced any glitches as far as like the system shutting down or I can see by your face. Has there been anything where it's like, particularly hard to live with as far as glitches go? Because they're known for pretty bad software.
They are. Well, I do like it's not self-driving, but there is a really great assistive feature for, on the highway or even commuting on straight, slow roads where it is lovely. I like it really better. I remember driving the Rivian R1T on road trips, and I didn't totally love how it had me handling that on the highway. I couldn't adjust in lane to get away from a semi, whereas this one I think drives itself, quote unquote, pretty well with the system that it has. But in the beginning, if it seemed like if the lighting was off from the sun, it would just cut that off completely. I could no longer use that, and it would turn back on and off. So that was a little bit annoying when it comes to the ease of of driving on the highway. It's so much better when the car can really assist you there. So that is a little bit odd. In terms of, I guess, its eyesight, it was pretty quirky. Also, in the car, to shift gears, there are buttons, your Prindle buttons, minus the ul. And my dad experienced this, I've experienced this, if you press a button and maybe you press, from reverse to drive to park too quickly, the car will just kind of lock in place and park, and you cannot switch gears. And it'll tell you should probably restart the car to do that. Well, when I'm in a 3-point turn in front of my cousin's house and I'm suddenly perpendicular to the way that you're supposed to drive on the road and my car won't let me put it in drive or reverse, I start freaking out. That's happened multiple times. I did get out of the car, I lock it, I wait till the screen goes to sleep, I take a deep breath, I unlock it, and then the car is able to drive again. But things like that, I have to change. That is a horrible quality, and it is no fun for any driver getting stuck in a drive mode that you don't want to be in.
For sure. Do you use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto?
Yeah, I use Apple CarPlay. I have an iPhone. In the beginning, that was pretty glitchy. You would be in your home, and if your car was parked close enough, it would connect to Apple CarPlay, even though it was like locked and in your driveway. That has gotten way better. You can easily activate or deactivate Apple CarPlay, whether or not you want it to connect, but it does work well now. So I can give that a thumbs up. They improved that.
Good stuff. Okay. And then as far as, range, charging, road trips, that kind of thing, I know you have road tripped quite a bit. Tell us about that experience as far as, how long those stops are, how long the distance is that you're usually covering, and what the experience is overall.
We've done a lot, and we've taken a lot of notes on the road trips. Don't start on a cold morning thinking that you'll have a quick charge. Charge up as much as you can the night before. When this battery is cold, there's no preconditioning at all for the VinFast, so you're showing up with a cold battery unless you drive it around for a while, or as you were saying earlier, yo-yo it.
Yep.
That's an uncomfortable way to get your car warm enough, so I don't do that. Instead, I suffer through maybe a cold morning, but that you'll top out at very low charging speeds, around 30, when you're having a cold battery. But if it's warm, great conditions. Like recently I drove to Bentonville, Arkansas and back. We had a sunny day and this peaks around 150. So it was getting 130, 140, and then tapering off a little bit. So you can see decent charging curves for what it is and what it's supposed to peak at, but it has to be at very ideal conditions. In terms of, it'll tell you its estimated miles based on your charge and probably your recent driving patterns. It's about 75 to 85% accurate. So typically I'll add on 40 to 50 to 60 miles to what it says, because it usually doesn't match up 1-to-1. But like I said, when Jordan drove it 70 miles an hour straight from 100 to 0, he got 247. I would say that's about the same. You can go about 2 hours driving this thing if you really want to run it down low, or maybe 150, 200 miles if you're comfortable driving it low, which I know a lot of us are, but some of us aren't comfortable with getting that low. And then you do stop. Typical charging stops are around 30 minutes, unless you're doing the great, I call it leapfrog, which doesn't really make sense, but when you're hopping, just charging enough to get to the next one, then you can be a bit more efficient and it's not too bad. But it's definitely not as fast as other EVs on the road, so it's not the most ideal EV for road tripping. But again, I like to smell the roses.
And stay tuned to our other channel, Out of Spec Motoring, where I will be road tripping this all the way back to the track in Upper North Carolina. We'll see how that goes today and tomorrow.
I'm really excited to see what you think.
Yeah, we'll see. Absolutely. It's my first time ever road tripping a VinFast, ever driving one. So next question that I had is, VinFast is a new company to the U.S., not globally, but in our market, there's not a whole lot of dealerships. What has your experience been? Have you had a lot of communication and support with them for issues? And then as far as service goes, how many times has it been in for service, like outside of just OTAs?
Only in service for OTAs, for software updates. Otherwise, I haven't really gotten much communication from the company at all besides general marketing. But whenever I have asked for assistance, I've gotten it. I mean, recently I might have allegedly flattened a tire of this VinFast. And while my AAA tow truck showed up first, VinFast was right on it getting me service. So the roadside assistance was really responsive. It's just that they didn't get there as quick as the AAA guy. So I canceled that. But generally, like, you can get onto their website. There's a great forum where they keep everything pretty public. People can talk about things, ask questions, and they have folks hopping online to answer. And when I have inquired with someone over email or chat, they've been really responsive. But it hasn't been super hands-on. I haven't necessarily needed that.
Yeah, that's good to hear. So yeah, you haven't really ever been in a situation where you had a critical service issue?
No. I mean, being stuck in the middle of the road, I can fix that myself. It can be fixed by restarting the car, essentially. Most of your problems, you don't need to call anyone.
And is there a way to reset it without getting fully out of the car and back in, or you have to do that every time?
It makes me feel better to do it. I think you could technically lock the car from inside, let it go to sleep, and unlock it, but I think something about the car, I might be making this up, something about the car knowing, like, no one's in it, it's going to sleep for sure, because it knows when someone's in the seat.
Yeah, no, that's totally legit.
Then I think that really is the only way. You can technically hold the volume button, which is right here, which is also an on-off button, mute button, but if you hold that, it'll also restart the car. I do find that maybe not to be as effective as getting out, locking it, letting it close down, and then open back up.
Gotcha, okay. And so this might be a hard one. I want 3 loves and 3 hates from you.
3 loves, pet mode, heated steering wheel, and seats. This might be kind of a cop-out, but electric. Electric is just the best. The fact that this is electric beats out a lot of the issues with it, because I just prefer to drive electric. I don't like to go to gas stations. I can charge at work. It's efficient, it's quiet, I'm not emitting any gnarlies when I'm driving around. It's just a better way of life. So if that's a cop-out, let me know, but I hope it's not.
I mean, I think obviously our audience is probably on the same page. So many of us drive electric, but also I would add a note in there that, like, for the price of the lease, if you go combustion for that price, the cars are horrible.
That's so true.
It's like a turbo 3-cylinder, like naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, little, like, just economy crap box.
You're getting a luxury experience for $0 down, $250 a month. I mean, that's pretty good and hard to argue with. I totally agree with what you're saying there, Logan.
For sure, yeah. So I mean, I think electric's a good point there. And then so 3 hates. You don't have to have all 3, but if you had to have a few, what would they be?
Things that I dislike about the VinFast, sorry doll. Probably its efficiency. I mean, it's like 1,000 pounds heavier than a 2019 Model Y, so it's not super efficient. It's kind of heavy and clunky in a lot of ways. Even the doors. It doesn't have a great turning radius, so it kind of has some clunky things about it. I would say that's just kind of a bit uncomfortable. Whereas like a Tesla is kind of lightweight in a lot of ways, or at least it makes the user feel that way. Let's see, that's kind of both clunky and efficiency. What else do I hate about it? The quirkiness. I mean, being able to trust your car is a really nice thing. So when you're unable to trust it, that kind of gets in your way of the enjoyment. The fact that I have to take it to a dealership to get an update is not super great.
For the year that we're in.
But I also can't really blame them for that, because if you send out a horrible update and people aren't even near one of your few dealerships, you're kind of asking for trouble. Okay, about the dislikes, one more. It kind of goes with the first note. The hatchback is so clunky. It's the slowest one to open ever. They use the same back gate that you would on the upgraded version, but it's not automatic. So you open it and it creaks up. Then once you get into the back, they do give you an EVSE, but there is no amperage control on it at all. So when I first plugged it into a 240 outlet and thought that it would work, it just completely didn't function as an EVSE. So the charger that they gave me is a little bit, it could be definitely improved. You know, the 110 I never had a problem with, but the 240, definitely problematic.
And then I have two more for you. My second last one is going to be, what would your message be to people who kind of hate the brand online? Because I feel like there's so much negativity about VinFast on like electric vehicle YouTube, but when you kind of try one in person and you look at the price, it seems like it's not that bad.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's really hard to deny a lease for a good electric experience when it's at $0 down, $250 a month. I'd say, you know, haters are gonna hate, but I've really enjoyed it, and everyone that I've put in this car has, I mean, unless you're complaining, like you're an audiophile, you don't like the sound system. I get that. It's clunky and quirky. That's kind of annoying. I get that. For the electric vehicle experience that the everyday driver wants, or just the vehicle experience at this price point, it is really hard to argue. It's comfortable. I think it's good looking. Everyone stops me everywhere to ask, what are you driving? Love the color. So weird. It's efficient. You don't have to go to a gas station. I think that is actually a huge plus for people. And in terms of electric, that's why they're going electric. They want to be more efficient. They want to have a comfortable lifestyle. They want all the up-to-date tech. While it be a little glitchy at some points, it is up-to-date tech, and you're getting all the benefits of that. So I think when you are a car aficionado, when you're just crazy about reviews, you can see the flaws, that's for sure. But we have to remember, most people are just everyday drivers who want a good deal and a good car that will take them from point A to point B without any issues. Have I mentioned the issues that I run into? Yes. Okay. I think those can be hated on, and that is okay to critique those. But I think what we can't critique is that the company has continued to improve their offering, and that's really important. And that I hope they continue to do it, because I think they have a lot of potential. They've designed a really decent car. So to the haters, I say, hey, I hear ya. I put my critiques out there, but give it a chance. It's comfortable, it's fun, and see what Logan has to say about it after his road trip.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good point, which is that, like, you know, for somebody like Kyle or I, like, our job is to be critical and make sure that everybody knows, you know, like we're a part of the press, and like, so if there is an issue, then everybody should know about it. But when you boil it down, sometimes it's easy to get wrapped up in that and think that normal people care when normal people want cheap, efficient transportation to work in the grocery store.
And you're getting that here.
And you're getting that.
With a bunch of space.
And it's, you know, quite a bit better than the alternative, which is combustion.
I agree.
It's a great point. Last question, where from here? Like, so obviously I know you have one more year left, so this is not the end. You know, you'll be getting this back after we do our testing. But what is the next step? Are you going electric again? Are you going VinFast again?
I don't know if I would go VinFast again, just because, I mean, the lease is a great price point, but this is about $47,000 MSRP with the higher trim being over $50,000. So that's, I mean, for this, Maybe for a car that was perfect, I would look into that, but I mean, my Subaru was not that much, and it's a great car. While I have the Subaru, and that's great, I also have an electric motorcycle, so I'll continue to drive that around. But what I really would love is, of course, to go electric. I can't discount leases. I mean, before EVs, I never really thought about a lease, but now there's so many great options, and it's great to be able to enjoy the technology and watch it improve without maybe putting up a huge investment in buying the car. So I think I would look at leases. I'm waiting for Rivian to come out with the R3X because that is a dream car. While it be a little bit smaller, I think it is so cool looking. So I don't think I'll be buying this out of the lease, spoiler alert. I do love it, and I will miss it. I'm even gonna miss it when you take it right now. I love driving her every day. Please don't take her. And then, but I have to stay electric. It's just better, and I will continue to convert the people in my life to buy electric or lease electric. I have friends who have taken up some leases on Kias and stuff. So I will definitely stay electric. I love electric. I want more electric in my life. Will it be a VinFast? Probably not, unless someone offers me a crazy deal. But there are a lot of other EVs out there that I am dying to drive and use on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think that's another great point, which is that, you know, this lease deal is like so hard to, you know, not take. But then you look at the MSRP, and I think anybody looks at 47 for this and doesn't quite think that that adds up.
I don't quite have that kind of disposable income yet. You know, congrats to all who do. Buy yourself a couple VinFasts, but yeah, I've got to make a different decision when it comes to that. All right, well, thank you everyone for watching my 2-year little synopsis of living with the VinFast. Stay tuned for all the testing they're going to do. It's changed from the first day I got it, so I can't wait to see what the testing results are and what everyone else thinks about it when they get it to the track. We still have 1 more year with her before we have to return her next January 2027. Can't believe that that's a thing already. So I can't wait to enjoy her for the rest of the year, see whatever quirky and fun things come up, and stay tuned to see what that experience is like returning her and seeing who else shows up to the VinFast dealership. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.